We have Stefon Diggs, 5 months removed from tearing his ACL. The 31-year-old former one-time Texan visited the Patriots on Wednesday and left without a contract. Fox Sports' Jordan Schultz reported that Diggs' visit was more about get to know you and where you're at medically type of meeting. Would Stefon Diggs be a good fit in New England?
Absolutely. This would be the first time since Wes Welker they have a legitimate threat at wide receiver. Because Julian Edelman wasn't anybody that you game plan around. So you still need a game plan around him. He was getting put up 1,300, 1,400-yard seasons. First of all, the last 1,000-yard receiver they had was Julian Edelman in 2019. It's 2025. They have also had the worst supporting cast group since probably 2019. 2020, they were throwing out, Marquise Lee out there, I'm pretty sure, with Cam Newton as the starting quarterback. Then you followed up with a decent surrounding cast with Kendrick Bourne, but you spent so much, and Jonnu Smith was making a bunch of money, but he never came into fruition how they wanted him, or how he was back with Tennessee. There were a bunch of pieces that you spent money on that did nothing. And then in 2022, you got nobody. You got Tyquan Thornton, who was a big bust, then you kept him for 23 and kept him for 24. And you followed it up with Baker and Polk, who did nothing this past year. Nothing. So they need somebody. OBJ said if Tom Brady stayed there, he would have signed with the Patriots. Chris Godwin opted to re-sign with the Buccaneers and take less to stay on the Buccaneers. You missed out on Cooper Kupp. You missed out on DK Metcalf. You missed out on Deebo Samuel. You missed out on DeAndre Hopkins. I can keep going. The list keeps going on and on and on and on. And in fact, there was an opportunity in this free agent period to go out and sign massive free agents offensively, but you couldn't get it done. And while we look at the free agent signings that you've had so far, these are some of the notable ones, I agree with a bunch of these because these are massive gameplay, playmakers, excuse me. Milton Williams had a good year with the Philadelphia Eagles, but he only played, I think, 48% of the snaps or less last year. So you're giving him a massive amount of money and hopefully, probably projected, that you're going to obviously play him much more. Carlton Davis, I thought was a great pickup for him because Jonathan Jones is out the door now. Carlton Davis is a great replacement. I thought Jonathan Jones the year before, you should have gotten rid of him. Robert Spillane is a tackle machine. Harold Landry, I think, is a good pass rusher. The New England defense fell apart last year. Garrett Bradbury, because you released David Andrews. Great pickup. You replace him with Garrett Bradbury. Mack Hollins. He's not a playmaker, but sure, I guess you're adding pieces at least. Morgan Moses, offensive tackle. You had the worst offensive line. I've always said this. Outside of Mike Owenu, you couldn't name another Patriots offensive lineman. And then Josh Dobbs to be the backup quarterback because you're projectedly going to trade away Joe Milton, which I actually don't love. Unless you can get I think your asking price is like a 3rd-round pick. If you could somehow get that from a 7th-round pick, by all means, or a 6th, 7th-round pick, by all means, go and do it. But I actually think the Patriots free agent signings are really good. The prices are a little bit questionable, like giving Milton Williams $104 million over 4 years. But he was about to slip to another team, so you came and say, here's what we're going to do. We're going to pay you a bunch of money. They did have the most cap space in the NFL. And I hope they do go out and sign more free agents. I don't think you should be done. You got to go out and sign guys. And I think in the draft, if he's available somehow, I would get Travis Hunter. And I would play him, you could probably play him at both positions, but don't make him your cornerback 1 or 2. You would probably put him as a nickelback. Get Marcus Jones out of there. Please, for the love of God. He's a 5'8" guy who keeps getting mossed left and right. He's a shifty guy, absolutely. And I think he can make some spectacular plays in special teams, and even I would use him a little bit on the offensive side as well. But he should not be your starting cornerback or starting nickelback ever. He's too small. He's not much of a he's not much of a playmaker defensively, or you could put him out there and he could lock somebody up. So I think, Travis Hunter could fill into that role during certain formations, and he wants to be a two-way player. This is how you make Travis Hunter a true two-way player. But I think right now, the way the Patriots are built, you need somebody. Stefon Diggs had 6 straight 1,000-yard seasons, combination of Kirk Cousins mixed with Josh Allen, before getting hurt, tearing his ACL when he was at the Houston Texans. And he didn't put up great numbers, 47 catches, 496 yards. But we do have to realize he was also on a team with Joe Mixon, Tank Dell, as well as, I'm forgetting the other receiver's name, Nico Collins. So there was talent all over the place, and Dalton Schultz, the tight end. So there was talent all over the place for Houston. Now, the majority of that talent ended up going down with injuries, but there was a bunch of talent. There's only one football. You can't get every guy the ball. But the fact that New England and Stefon Diggs are at least meeting, and finally, a receiver is at least talking to the New England Patriots instead of shutting them down like Brandon Ayuk did, and as well as Chris Godwin turned them down as well. The fact that a receiver, a good receiver, a very good receiver, is at least open to joining New England, I think this is massive, and I think he'd be a pretty good fit in New England because they desperately need a legitimate threat in wideout.
Yeah, well, the meeting, they say, was mostly about assessing his where he's at mentally and his recovery from the ACL tear. He did leave without a contract. He may wind up back with the Texans. They're talking about re-signing him because Tank Dell, that injury he had was so severe he may not make it back this year. And they need somebody to be the complement to Collins. And before Diggs got hurt, he was doing quite well with them, averaging 62 yards a game. He had 3 TDs before he got hurt in week 8. I don't know if this is such a good option, Nate. The recovery from ACL can affect performance in the return year. Plus, Diggs can be somewhat of a disruptive force as he was in Buffalo. I don't know if things don't go his way, he gets all upset, and it's out there in the media that could be a negative factor on the Patriots, who made many changes this past year, and it's kind of a reset for them now. Pats have a goal of bringing in a wide receiver 1, and as you've said, they failed miserably, right? They tried to bring in Calvin Ridley last year. They couldn't get that.
That's another
done.
guy there's another guy turned away.
And they would have made offers to Higgins and Godwin if they hadn't returned to their other former teams. How come they didn't get DK Metcalf? Maybe they should have had a chance at him, but that didn't happen. So they re-signed Austin Hooper, and they signed Mack Hollins. That's what they've done at offensive receivers so far. Can you bring up that list of their free agent signings? Where are the offensive linemen? There's only one on there. How come there aren't more?
Two. Garrett Bradbury, the center from Minnesota, and Morgan Moses from the Jets.
Yeah, okay.
They signed Bradbury, I think, today or yesterday.
Okay, so 2. That's not so bad. And Joshua Dobbs, 2 years, $8 million. I don't know. I think they're afraid Joe Milton might be better, might be a threat to.
That's a hot take.
Yeah.
That Week 18 game, though.
Yeah, he might be a threat to May, and they don't want that. The way he played, man, he played well in that last game of the season, which they never should have let win. It would have had the number 1 pick in the draft, but so be it. So their receiver core right now, Kayshon Boutte, who I think is credible. Kendrick Bourne, who I don't know.
Interesting.
He's okay, I guess. Demario Douglas is okay.
That's the best receiver. Who, by the way, led the. I can't believe. Let's get 2 box here. I can't believe this is a true stat. Ready for this? Led the Patriots in 24 with 66 catches. Guess, I don't know if you have the number there. Many yards? Guess how many yards he had. Led the Patriots by
650.
621.
Not bad.
Led the Patriots in receiving.
Yeah.
That's how bad.
Yeah. Jalen Polk, who we both know can't catch a ball, and Javon Baker, who never really did anything. You mentioned Diggs has 6 consecutive years of 1,000 yards and averaged 62 yards per game in 8 games with the Houston before he got hurt. I think the Pats, I think Diggs is a question mark. I'm not sure I'd go for him. I think the Pats should draft a wide receiver at number 4. Matthew Godwin's out there, McMillan is out there, or maybe Travis Hunter, as you mentioned. Then I think they should go and try to sign Tyler Lockett. He's not an elite player, but he's a dependable veteran who could also set a good example for the Patriots' young wideouts. He wouldn't be a long-term solution because he's 33 years old. But in the short term, he would add depth to a receiver core that's desperately needs more talent, and I think he would set a very good example, and I like him. I think he's a quality receiver, still has gas in the tank. So that's what I would do.
This is classic Patriots, though. It doesn't matter if it's Drake Maye, it doesn't matter if it's Elliott Wolf, it doesn't matter if it's Mike Vrabel, it doesn't matter if it's Bill Belichick. Whoever controls the roster is defensive-focused. And I'm sorry. We already saw a situation where they built up on defense and you carry your defense. That was the 2023 New England Patriots, who went a solid, beautiful, 7th overall defense, who went 4th and 13, who put up, what was it, 0 points, 3 points, whatever it was, against the Los Angeles Chargers. You held them to, I think, 6 points, but I don't think you scored a single point in that game. So it doesn't matter how great your defense is, because at some point they're going to hit a wall. It's the Pittsburgh Steelers thing. You try to run the ball effectively with tough defense. At one point, your quarterback needs to step up. And I think Drake Maye has a lot of talent.
I'm surprised.
But get him
I'm a little surprised.
I hope it's not Mac Jones 2.0. Great number one. First of all, turnover issues with Drake Maye this year. Mac Jones didn't really have that in his rookie year. But don't let this be the 2022 New England Patriots Part 2, where your offensive line isn't great, you have no weapons, and your defense starts to deteriorate. Now, you bolster your defense very nicely, I think.
But did they really need to do that, though? I think that
Yes.
the defense under Belichick in his last year, mostly the same players coming back, underperformed this past year. Could Mike Vrabel get that
Big
kind of
time.
performance?
Kyle Duggar was terrible.
Couldn't he get that kind of performance out of that? They've basically given up on the defense they had. And why couldn't they have said, you know what? It was a down year for those guys. It was because of coaching. Let's bring back most of those guys again and see if we can get the kind of performance out of them that Belichick got out of him in his last year, rather than using all of that free agency money on the defense. They to put more on the offense. They didn't look at that. Defensive tackle, cornerback, linebacker, outside linebacker, right? And there's 2 people on the offensive line, which is their worst thing. And, journeyman receiver, Mack Hollins, and Joshua Dobbs. I don't know where they decided to get him. Hopefully he won't get into a game. I don't understand it, Nate. They went for the defense again. You should be all upset about this. This is a Belichick. This looks like a Belichick move. Right? Exactly.
Am I satisfied?
Absolutely. Mike Vrabel's a defensive guy.
I'm not satisfied, absolutely. But I also have to realize that the way that the Patriots play this and just how the situations turned out, New England at that time was a somewhat desirable position. Now, because they didn't have Tom Brady, it wasn't, I can go play for like Derek Carr or Tom Brady. I can go play with like an aged Big Ben or Tom Brady. It wasn't like that. It was, I'm going to play with Cam Newton / Mac Jones. And now it's, I'm playing with a broken Mac Jones. And now it's, I'm playing with Drake Maye, who is a cool quarterback, but he's going into year 2. New England has become a barren wasteland for talent. Nobody wants to go there. I saw a report by, I think, Tom Curran that said that New England is considered like Siberia. Nobody wants to go there. The conditions are horrible. The coaching is tough. They're not winning anymore. At least when they were winning Super Bowls, you go there to potentially finally get a ring. That's why Darrelle Revis came over to the New England Patriots.
Well, they spent all their money, free agency money, on defensive players. Again, when their offense is terrible.
Their
offense is terrible.
It's garbage. But the fact that players are actively seeking less money to not play in New England.
Yeah, well, I don't know. I think that they could have landed some of these guys with big money. They spent all the big money on the defense.
I think Chris Godwin took $20 million less to go back to the Bucs. They were going to probably give you T. Higgins $30 million. He technically turned down less to stay in Cincinnati because he's making 28. So it just so happens that New England now has become a place that nobody wants to go to.
Well, that's why they should do it through the draft.
Well,
they should have used their free agency money on offense, more on offense, not so much on the defense. They had good defensive players. That defense proved that they could be good. It just needed better coaching. Mike Vrabel should be the coach that could do it. He's a Belichick disciple, played for him for many years.
Well, they desperately needed a defensive back with Jonathan Jones gone. I don't hate the Carlton Davis move. Milton Williams is a great defensive tackle. You've been complaining about their pass rush since what, 2007?
Yeah, well, yeah. Yeah.
They haven't had a good pass rush in years.
No, it's true. But Barmore was out last year. Maybe he'll be back.
Godshaw's already gone.
Godshaw's gone.
Keon White didn't do much.
Yeah, but he's still with them.
Right, but he didn't do much.
Yeah, but that's the scheme, man. They got the coaching. He's got to get the talent out of that guy. He's got the talent, right? The linebacker core. They brought in linebackers. Don't they have? Jawan Bentley is a good linebacker, right? Yeah, and who are the other linebackers? Tavai.
Tavai was terrible. Tavai was terrible last year. Tavai was
terrible. But the year before, he was very good.
Well, currently, guess what? Milton Williams is now a starter. Harold Landry, starter. Over, by the way, Keon White. Keon White has now been relegated to being the backup. Juwan Bentley still a starter. Robert Spillane, an instant starter. They also brought in Clavon Chasen. He's a backup. Carlton Davis is a starter. And I hate looking the fact that Marcus Jones is still the starting nickelback. He's, 5'8"? He's fast. But he gets mossed every time in single coverage. He's not a good defensive back. Hi, everybody. Thank you for watching this clip of the Harvey Hour. If you want to watch the full show, you can by clicking the I in the top right-hand corner right now. If you want to take the show with you on the go, it is available wherever you get your podcast. We go live here on YouTube every single Tuesday and Friday at 6:30 p.m. Eastern. So make sure you hit that like button, that subscribe button, and the notification bell to get notified whenever we upload a video and whenever we go live.